hope you're doing great and having a fantastic week. I'm glad to be with you as always. It's a pleasure to be here and to share whatever I can. All right. Oh, you know what? I'm going to have to move my phone because I can't see the comments on YouTube. There we go. Okay. So, hello there, Chevaria. Hello there. Chevaria, okay. Fit Mom Alice, hello there. Alice, how are you? I wonder if I know you. Cherry, good to see you. Asaf, good to see you here. Blue something, Blue Mike Inc. Okay. Rebecca, good to see you here. All right, glad you're all here. Bulimic Tink. Many fasting interviews say after day 9 or 10 the cravings stop and it's pretty easy. Is this true? When do the initial cravings usually stop? That is not necessarily true. This is probably true the way most people fast, but most people make significant mistakes. When we're getting enough water, we may have cravings throughout the process. And this happens because we're rehydrating old material. And as we rehydrate old material, we tend to crave the stuff that's in there, right? So if we have addictions to things, we're going to have cravings for them. And that happens as we rehydrate old material. So the way most people fast, where they're not taking enough water in, they may never experience those cravings once they get past those first few days. And so they think that's what's happening, but unfortunately, that's just evidence they're not really doing what they need to. Okay. All right. We have a super chat here on YouTube. Jeanette Walsh is here in the house with a $5 contribution. Thank you so much, Jeanette. Jeanette says, what are your thoughts on watermelon breaking water fast and its effect on blood sugar? Vegetables better or worse? Okay, so a watermelon is one of the best 3 choices. What we use here at Tanglewood for many years now is, when we were in North America, we didn't have the same choices all year long, right? We had seasonal fruits, and so in the wintertime, we would use what we had available to us. But here, now that we're 16 years, very soon, month and a half, we'll celebrate our 16th anniversary in Central America, and we have, for nearly 16 years now, broken fasts on either watermelon, papaya, or fresh out of the coconut water. Bottled coconut water does not count. Okay, water from young Thai coconuts does not count. This water is not healthy, and no one should be consuming it, because when you take the outer husk off the coconut, the water, everything inside becomes rancid. It begins to rancidify, and that happens because there's oxygen moving through. Okay, so it has to be fresh coconut water. There's no benefit to consuming it. I would never consume that again. Only fresh out of the coconut. But there's nothing better than watermelon or papaya. Okay, in terms of whole fruits, far better than any vegetables. Jeanette, as you may know, for me, the only vegetables we should consume are soft, tender, leafy green vegetables. Those are the only ones, because anything else is way too difficult to digest in its raw state. And if we're cooking foods, we're creating problems. We're creating toxins. We're destroying nutrients. So everything should be raw when breaking a fast, and always, right? Here we have no stove. I haven't had a stove now for many years. There's no stove. There's no oven. Of course, there's no microwave. There's no grill. There's no way to cook food here. Everything is 100% raw, and has been ever since Tanglewood came into being. I've been raw now for coming up on 30 years, and Tanglewood, which is over 24 years old, has always been 100% raw and vegan, and we see amazing results with everyone. But that requires consuming only fruits, things that we can, and soft, tender greens, because most vegetables are way too difficult for the body to digest in their natural state. We're not vegetable eaters. Okay, it's people like Joel Furman are out there telling you to consume the most nutrient-dense food. Here's Joel: consume the most nutrient-dense foods possible, and buy these 20 supplements from me to get what you need. Hang on, those two things don't seem to connect for me. Okay, if you're eating the most nutrient-dense foods possible, why do you need supplements? Oh, it's because studies show, research shows, as I've been teaching for 30 years, that we're not getting the nutrients from the vegetables that we're eating. Okay, that the carotenes in papayas and mangoes are 4 times more available than the carotenes, the same nutrients in kale and other leafy greens, dark green, cruciferous vegetables. Okay, only lettuce, because it's soft enough for the body to be able to digest. Eating these things is not useful. So no vegetables for me. Okay, we don't ever break fast on vegetables. We don't even give people lettuce on a typical, I mean, again, our typical fast here is 21 to 30 days, sometimes longer, very infrequently less than 21 days. And I wouldn't give someone lettuce for the first several days because it's much harder to digest than fruit. We want to make it as easy as possible for them. We're not worried about getting more nutrients in. That's not the issue, okay? And so we see amazing results with this protocol over and over again. But of course, the important thing is doing everything you need to do. It's not just doing that part of it. I'm going to go to a quick question here on Instagram, and I'll come back to the other super chats. Alice asks, why doesn't a raw diet heal, treat, prevent the brown spots you have on your forehead? Well, no diet heals anything, Alice. The body does all the healing, okay? What you see on my forehead was sun damage from repeated, well, first of all, several significant sunburns, sun poisoning, and then repeated excessive exposure. That's what happens. Burning the skin's not a good idea. And it still happens. I mean, you know, I understand this, and yet one of my favorite things to do is body surf, and I'll be at the beach again soon. And if it's sunny and there's waves, I can't body surf while I've got anything on my head. So, you know, but you know what? I couldn't give a shit about the spots on my head. That has nothing to do with health. That's, you know, if you burn your skin in any way, whether it's with an acetylene torch, a candle, or excessive sun exposure, you're going to create damage to your skin. That's what happened. No diet heals that. Okay. Not only will the diet, no diet heal that, fasting can't heal that. If it can't heal, the body heals itself. So you want to be clear about that, right? Nothing heals the body heals itself. All right, I've got some super chats here. Let me come back up. Paula, okay. Paula is here. Thank you, Paula. Paula made a $20 contribution and says, could you explain why when we retain water with obvious puffiness that we're dehydrated still? I know cooked food causes dehydration, but why does the body retain so much water? Sure. Yeah, I mean, let me be clear. Let's see, let me just go back and read the question again. Can you explain why when we retain water, even with obvious puffiness, that we're dehydrated still? Well, retaining water doesn't mean we're dehydrated, but it definitely doesn't mean we're hydrated either, okay? Retaining water means that the body is holding water. So the puffiness you're talking about, the edema that occurs, whether we're looking at gout, which usually starts in the big toe, or we're talking about when I took a bad fall 7 weeks ago while playing Frisbee on the beach, went up for a catch and came down funny on the beach. I tweaked something in my wrist, and this bracelet, which, you know, you can see I can get a finger under there easily, probably 2, without too much effort. Well, yeah, it's a little bit of work to get 2 under there, but I've got 2 fingers under there, right? I had to take this off because my wrist swelled up. Now that happens in that case because the injury to the tendons meant my body purposely sent more blood and lymph to the area to heal it. And so the last thing I would ever do would be to ice it or put, you know, heat, ice, any of that stuff, because what that's doing is manipulating the body. I'm completely clear. My virtually infinitely intelligent body knows exactly what it's doing. It was bringing blood and lymph to that area on purpose to heal faster. And I don't want to try to reduce the amount of liquid there. That's there to help me. Now, if you have constant inflammation, obviously you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, and that could be eating. When this happens as a result of eating, that puffiness usually occurs because you have consumed sodium chloride or some other form of salt, right? Because sodium chloride is a salt, what we call salt, but potassium chloride, magnesium chloride, and others, these are also mineral salts. And these salts are found throughout processed foods. So if you eat processed food and you wind up puffy all over, this is because of the consumption of salts, which are toxic and harmful to the body. We need sodium and we need chloride. We never, ever need sodium chloride, okay? And it's toxic to us. So you don't want to be getting it that way. That's not a healthy thing to do. Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right. Okay. I'm going to come back to this YouTube in just a second. I have a comment here on Instagram from someone writing me in Spanish. So, and I can't, Ani Luna. Ani, si estás, mañana estoy en vivo en español a la misma hora. Hoy solamente inglés. Ok, solamente inglés. Y pero si tiene una pregunta, parece que está haciendo ayuno solo y 5 días, tomorrow, mañana va a comer. Okay, so I mean, you probably need to set up creo que necesita arreglar una consulta para tener mi ayuda, porque aquí así no puedo hacer. Tengo muchas preguntas sobre su situación, su condición. No puedo hacer aquí. Y mañana español. Hoy solamente inglés. Okay? This is English. That's when you're asking me something in Spanish. We'll have to come back to her another time. Okay, so the body retains water, coming back to Paula, when we eat these things because it's trying to protect itself from the salts. Sodium chloride, potassium chloride, magnesium chloride, etc. Again, there's different reasons. So an injury, that's your body purposely creating inflammation. Inflammation is not the problem. So many people are saying inflammation is the problem. It's not. Inflammation is always part of the solution. Okay, your body creates it on purpose to help heal. Now, again, if you're constantly doing the same thing, and so there's constantly inflammation, yeah, that's going to wind up perhaps creating some issues, some challenges for the body. But it's not the inflammation, the presence of this liquid that's the problem. The liquid's there on purpose to help you heal. But in your case, when someone's eating something and winds up puffy, this happens. This may not be what's happened for you, but when this happens with diet, as you're asking, this happens because of what someone's eating. Okay, it could also be, again, with gout, it's uric acid. It's not salt. It's uric acid that the body's attempting to protect itself from. So there are other substances that might have a similar effect. But in every case, after a meal, it's your body attempting to protect itself from something that you've eaten that it doesn't want to have in the body. And that's so it's holding water outside of the cells. And that's coming back to your question, how can you be dehydrated if you're holding all this water? Because the body is holding this water outside of the cells. In fact, eating salt dehydrates you, because even though you're holding water, what happens is when you eat salt, your body takes water from your cells and it comes out of the cell, okay, to protect you from the salt. And so you wind up being dehydrated, even though you could be blown up like a balloon and dehydrated in a cellular level, which is all that matters. It makes no difference how much edema you have. What matters is cellular hydration. And salt dehydrates you. A lot of the things people eat dehydrate them. Okay, even though the body's holding all this water. I hope that makes sense. All right, Krasimir is here. Hello, Krasimir. How you doing? Good to see you. He has made a $6.50 Bulgarian contribution. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And said, is it optimal to eat fresh mulberry leaf? Many animals eat them, and the smaller leaves are pretty tasty. Honestly, I don't know much about mulberry leaves. It's funny, I should. I don't know if you watch my Instagram, I just posted a few days ago a photo of a bowl. I think it was from Saturday night. It's Friday, so almost a week ago now. Probably went up on Sunday. But we posted a picture of a bowl of mulberry banana ice cream. Okay, we have lots of mulberries here, but I've never tried eating the leaves, and I don't really know how edible they are. Okay, it varies from plant to plant whether the leaves are edible or toxic, how toxic they are for us. Now, other species eat them. That doesn't necessarily mean that we can. You're probably aware that silkworms eat exclusively mulberry leaves, if I'm not mistaken. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean that we should be eating them. I wish I could tell you. I'm not sure about that. You'd have to do some research into the toxicity of the leaf. Usually the leaves, the younger, smaller leaves are going to be less toxic. The tip of the leaf, because that's the youngest part of the leaf, is going to be less toxic than the larger part. But I'm not really sure if they're healthy to consume or not. So I'm going to answer a question. I've got other super chats I need to get to, and I'm coming right to you. But I see a question here from Snoopy Frog about his father just had a stroke. He can't walk. His speech is unrecognizable. He's doing therapy. Is it possible for him to water fast? And if not, yet then how long to wait? Yes, the sooner the better. Okay, the sooner after a stroke someone fasts, the more likely they're going to be able to heal as completely as possible from it. That's what I would do. Okay, I would have him fast as quickly as possible. He should have guidance to fast long enough to help. He's going to need to do it correctly. And my advice would be, if he may not be able to communicate with me, for instance, but to have somebody, you or somebody else in the household, communicating, with him for me, be there to help, to make sure he's understanding everything and doing what he needs to do, right? But yes, there's nothing better to allow the body to heal than fasting, and the sooner the better. So if it were me, I'd be fasting now. I'd be fasting already. I wouldn't wait at all. Okay, so I hope that helps. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's see. Let me scroll down. I have another super chat here or two waiting. There's a couple of them, at least several of them, in fact. A. Abby. Hello there, A. Good to see you. A. Abby has made a $5 contribution and said, "Hi, Loren. I appreciate you so much from Houston, Texas." Thank you so much for your kind contribution and words of support. I appreciate that very much. Very happy to be here. Rachel is in the house with a £5 contribution. Says, "Good morning, Loren. Just wanted to wish you a lovely day." Thank you so much, Rachel. Looking forward to seeing you again very soon. Okay, Randy Archer is here. Hello, Randy. Randy's made a 10 Australian contribution and said, "Hey, Loren, I'd love to hear more about the feeding process, specifically after the 21-day fast. When can you transition to more diverse fruits like apples, oranges, etc., even simple salads? Thanks." Okay. Hello, Nikki from Scotland. You're right below Randy's super chat, so I just noticed your message. Hi there. Good to see you. Okay. So here's what we do. I mean, as I think you're probably aware, Randy, I guide people remotely from all over the world. My clients have been in, there are very few countries where I haven't fasted someone at this point. There are probably a few in Africa. There may be a few in Asia. I don't think there's a single country in Central America. I don't think there's a single country in Europe where I haven't fasted one or more people, often many. We've had them for more than 136 countries here, but I have even a more diverse group online, because there are often people who, from countries where it's more difficult to get here, that only work with me online. People maybe countries where there's less income, etc. And these people often have quite limited choices. Obviously, anyone who's as far north or south of the equator may not have access to melons or papayas much of the year, if at all. Right? If they have them at all, they're going to be imported from somewhere else and probably not the best quality, because they would have been picked way too early. And so I work with people who only have apples and oranges sometimes, but that's never ideal. I mean, oranges aren't bad for breaking fasts because they are high in water content, not as high as watermelons or papayas, but oranges are in the high 80s in terms of percentage of water in the body, in the food, and relatively easy to digest. Although they're acid fruits, they're not so acidic that it's problematic. For many people, starting on pineapple, for instance, would be way too much acid. Apples, unfortunately, are quite a bit lower in water content. I mean, they're a few points lower than oranges and other citrus. And so apples and pears and grapes aren't things I would normally recommend using. Now, obviously, you know, again, I mean, I've worked with people who their only choices are apples and oranges. The only things they can get organic, for instance, are apples and oranges. They'll eat apples and oranges. It's okay, but it's not ideal. So after 21-day fast, you know, my recommendation, if it's available to you, would be to eat the highest water content fruits you can. Obviously, that is available, but whatever the highest is for you, that's as fresh as possible. If you live in a place where you can get melons, or if you're fasting in the summertime, you can get melons, that would be the best way. Watermelon is higher water content than other melons, at least the ones I know of. It's much higher than cantaloupes and honeydews and peel de sapos and canary melons, etc. And so start with watermelon the first day. The second day, you might try another kind of melon if you wanted to. By day 3, you know, you could be combining, each meal's mono, but meals could be different melons and other high water content fruits. But you want to, for most people come off their fasts dehydrated. I mean, most people go into their fast dehydrated, and we don't expect people to dramatically improve their hydration while fasting. Why not? I mean, my clients are drinking a fair amount of water. Why aren't they improving their hydration level? Well, the answer is that they are using the water coming in to cleanse and heal the body. Okay? So because they're using the water to cleanse and heal the body, there's not much water available to the body to hydrate. We don't expect to see huge improvements in hydration level. After the fast is when hydration goes up. Okay, that's when we see hydration really improve. While fasting, not so much. Okay, there's not much of that going on. So, yeah, I hope that helps. Simple salad. So I would begin introducing leafy greens. First, lettuce, soft, tender lettuces. Nothing else. No kale ever while we're feeding. Kale's very hard to digest. It's not something we should ever consume. It's not food for human beings, as far as I'm concerned. I don't buy it. I don't eat it. I have an amazingly high level of health and vitality and don't need kale, right? I mean, again, I've already explained this morning how research shows that we don't get the nutrients from kale very, very efficiently, okay? So I would introduce leafy greens after a 21-day fast on around day 5, but with a fruit, not melons, but with any other fruit. You can combine lettuce with the fruit, okay? And then I wouldn't, on a 21-day fast, I wouldn't introduce a simple salad until the last night. And always, if you're using avocado, a little bit at first, it would always be the last meal of the day. Why? Because it can take 15, 16 hours to filter the fat out of the bloodstream. So let's imagine that you had a green salad with avocado for your noon meal, and then you eat again at 3 o'clock or at 6 o'clock, or both, whatever. What happens? Well, what happens is if you're eating fruit for those meals, and you had a salad with avocado with fat, just 3 or 6 hours earlier, you're still going to have fat in your bloodstream, and that's going to negatively affect how efficiently your body is able to escort the excess sugar from the bloodstream. And this is harmful and damaging to the body. So I would only do a green salad at the last meal on the last day, the 7th day of feeding. Okay. Now, having said all that, there's tons of information. Most of you know this. I've been giving away information for years. I mean, there's 25 or more videos on my YouTube channel. There's tons of information there. But you are never going to get the same results until you really understand the process, unless you have experienced guidance. So I wouldn't recommend fasting without having experienced guidance. It's an investment in yourself, but I'll guarantee you the results if you're coachable and willing to do what you need to do. What happens is amazing virtually every time when people do what they need to do. That's the key, of course. Okay, you have to be willing and able to do what you need to do. Okay, I hope that helps. Hello there, Lisa B. I'm going to scroll down to the next super chats. Insight has made a $5 contribution and says, can you pass old material from eating only fruit and drinking water, or do you have to fast 21 days and drink a lot of water? Yeah, so it's a great question. There are people who think that they've eliminated their mucoid plaque because they've been eating a fruit-based diet, or they think they've eliminated their mucoid plaque because they've done some juice fasting, juice feasting, whatever you want to call it. Invariably, what we see here when those people come here, and they come here a lot, is they haven't eliminated that stuff. They still have issues. That's why they come here. They want to take their health to a higher level. And what happens is we find that they still eliminate tons of old mucoid plaque. And usually by the time they're done, they can see that it's different than what they eliminated before. It's much more hard and dry. Okay. What they eliminated before was likely stuff that was slowly making its way through their long digestive tract. There should be an 8 to 12 hour transit time from this opening to the southern exit point. But most people, it takes them 4 days. And some people take 20 or 30 days. And so some people have 100 or more meals slowly making its way through the 32-foot long digestive tract. And stuff is often getting stuck in there. Okay. And that's what they're eliminating. When, they think it's the old stuff, because if it's been sitting in there for a month, it's going to be hard, or 3 weeks, it's going to be pretty hard and dry. But it's nothing like the mucoid plaque I'm talking about. That stuff is only ever going to be eliminated, in my experience, by fasting at least 21 days properly and then refeeding properly. Okay? Do this with guidance. I mean, if you, again, fast with me, be coachable and open, be willing to do what I tell you need to do, and I'll virtually guarantee you're going to eliminate pounds and pounds and pounds and pounds of old hard material. It never fails. It never fails. Once every year or two, we'll have someone who doesn't eliminate any old hard stuff there, but they're the ones who aren't drinking enough water. They're the ones who aren't doing what I'm coaching them to do. They're the ones who refuse to do what they need to do. They're not going to get the results they need. Okay, that's what happens. Okay, I hope that helps. Joel is here, has made a $9.99 contribution. Thank you, Joel. I appreciate that very much. Google says children who are only consuming their mother's milk need to supplement iron. The doctor says my nephew is low in iron, 11.1. I know they're wrong, but can you explain what's going on? Sure. They're probably not wrong in either case. It's entirely possible that children today who are consuming only their mother's milk do need to supplement with iron, okay, from a typical mother. Why? Because the average mother is probably deficient in iron. Why? Probably because she's deficient in vitamin C. Why? Because she's not eating enough fresh food. Most people get most of their calories from eating processed crap, okay? And what they're getting there is, even if it's fortified with vitamin C, it's not natural vitamin C. The body can't process iron without vitamin C. And so it's probably true that the mother's milk from most human mothers today is going to be deficient in iron. And if it is, the baby's going to be deficient in iron, okay? It's not because mother's milk is deficient in iron. It's because their mother's milk is deficient in iron because of their diet, because of the state of their bodies, because of the condition of their health. In a healthy body, shouldn't be a problem. Okay, it shouldn't be an issue. We should be able to get everything we need from mother's milk. That's all the body should consume for 6 to 12 months. Okay, so how could it be that we would need a supplement? That makes no sense at all. It's nonsense. There's no other species, no baby that takes a mammal that takes their mother's milk, but also needs something else. It's impossible. Okay, it's nonsense. So they may be right that this is what's happening, but the reason why is because the average woman's body is quite deficient, toxic, dehydrated, not functioning very well. That's what's going on. Okay, that's what's happening. It's not that there's a problem with mother's milk. There isn't. It's probably also true that your nephew is low in iron, but that's because his mother's diet is low in iron, and that's the issue. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I mean, there's no reason, in a healthy body, healthy mother, eating a healthy diet and a clean body should be no problem whatsoever. None whatsoever. Okay. Okay, so I'm just seeing here a message from Ariane Romberg, who fasted with me. She is looking for people in Europe and or Sweden, where she lives, to find high quality fruit, because she's she's going to share her secret. So you're advertising your channel here, Ariane. Okay. Well, I'll tell you that the secret is to getting high quality fruit in Europe. Move to the tropics, where human beings belong. We're tropical animals. I've been to Europe many, many times, and the fruit quality that I found is always far inferior. I mean, in the summertime, you can get some pretty good stuff, but most of the year, it's nothing like what we're eating here every day. And this, I mean, every client here is like, oh my God, the food's amazing here. And that's because there's no way to get the same high quality food in any place else. It's not going to happen. Okay, I hope that helps. So let me see what we have here on Instagram, if I've missed anything. Is tamarind okay to eat? Yeah, it's not very high in water. You want to be careful. I saw the ice cream while fasting. It was beautiful. It is gorgeous. It was delicious as well. Sergey is asking, hi, Loren, could you say something about the coconut mixed with bananas together? Is it okay to eat that meal once or twice a week for breakfast? You mean the coconut flesh? No. We're never going to do very well combining high sugar fruits with something so fatty like coconut flesh. So no, it's not a good combination. Now, can you ever do that? Sure. I mean, I make exceptions every once in a while, not very often. I'm usually here. I was in Tulum, Mexico, back in December. I needed to get out of the country. Mexico is the only place I can go without taking a PCR test. I do not want to take a PCR test if I can avoid it. And I went to Tulum, spent a week or so there on the beach, and there's a raw vegan restaurant that was right down the road from me. So I went there to check it out. I always go to raw vegan restaurants. I believe in supporting them and helping with their message. I was hoping to meet the owner. The owner doesn't live in Tulum, long distance business owner. But, I had something there which combined sweet and fat, but it's an exception. It's not really a great combination. It's not something you want to do regularly, okay? High fat and high sugar, not a good combination, okay? You want to be clear about that. All right, I'm going to go back up here now on YouTube. And hello, Max. Good to see you. What's the reason melons should be eaten alone? Because they digest so quickly. If you combine them with anything else, you create problems, indigestion, acidity in the body. All fruits. I mean, honestly, and if I haven't been clear about this today, all fruits should be eaten alone. Okay, animals in nature eat one thing at a time. Our bodies work best when we eat one thing at a time. The fact that we're all used to eating plates with a bunch of different things on it does not mean that's what we should be doing. We should not be doing that. Fruits always digest best one at a time, sweet fruits. Now, when you look at things like tomatoes and cucumbers and peppers and with lettuce, those things combine perfectly well together. Okay, so is it a compromise? Yeah, it's a little bit of a compromise to eat a green salad. And for people who aren't comfortable eating a green salad or don't want to make the compromise, the other thing you could do is you could just eat lettuce with mono fruit. So bananas with lettuce, okay? Apples with lettuce, papaya with lettuce, melons never ever with anything else, because they digest so fast. You eat them with anything else and you're going to have problems. How is it your teeth stay strong if you eat only fruits which are soft and soft leaves? I don't understand your question. We don't need to work the tooth doesn't get stronger by biting into something hard, if that's what you're suggesting. That's not what happens. The tooth stays strong. I mean, that's not true any more than saying, the wing of the airplane doesn't stay strong unless it runs into hard things like trees. Nope, it stays better if it doesn't run into trees at all. Okay, we're not meant to bite hard things. We don't need to. That has nothing to do with strength. It's not like a muscle that is stronger when we exercise it. That's not what's happening with the tooth. That's just not what happens. The tooth stays strong when it has integrity, when it has the minerals that it needs to stay strong. When the body's in balance and when our diets are healthy, our teeth stay strong. My teeth are perfect. I don't go to dentists. I have no cavities. I've had no fillings since I was a kid and living on fruit. That's what we're made for. That's what our teeth are meant to do. We don't have any issues with that. Shalom Alechem says, would water fasting help with muscle cramping of the legs and feet? Muscle cramps are painful. Yes, absolutely. Those cramps are likely the result of magnesium deficiency, and people often have a magnesium deficiency not because they're deficient in magnesium, but because the body's out of balance. So we actually resolve those deficiencies frequently while people are fasting. And after fasting, when the body's in balance and well hydrated, if the diet is optimized, should be no cramps whatsoever. Okay? I know how painful those cramps are. I used to have them when I was a competitive swimmer. Nothing like swimming and having a cramp in your calf or your foot, and you're in a race and you can't slow down or stop. It just hurts like hell. I'm very used to those. That doesn't happen anymore. Okay? When my body is clean and hydrated and I'm eating the optimal diet, there's no cramps. Okay, there's no mineral issues. There's no mineral deficiencies. Therefore, there's no cramps. What are some examples of what your salads include, and when do you eat them? My salads include lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, avocados, and sometimes one other ingredient. They're not particularly. I mean, I can do all kinds of different things, but I don't usually, because I don't get bored eating the same things, and I eat the things that we have. We grow lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers. We also buy them. These things we have all the time. I might add in some star fruit. I had a salad the other day with some star fruit. Star fruit's amazing in a salad. We have fresh star fruit here. If you're not in the tropics, it might be harder to find, and harder to have ripe. You know, here most days this time of year I could go pick 20 ripe star fruits right now, maybe more. I'll add in other acid fruits like pineapple, sometimes a little bit of mango, or ground cherries, uchoas, other things. You know, berries work well. But my salads are typically 4 or 5 ingredients. They're very simple, no dressing, just avocado. Excuse me. Okay, that's what my salad looks like. That's it. And when do I have them? I have them for dinner only. Usually, I mean, the exception is if I have a business lunch, I'm meeting a contact. This happens every once in a while, not very often, but you know, I'll meet someone at a restaurant lunchtime, and the only thing that they'll have that I'll eat is a salad sometimes, if it's not a raw vegan restaurant, in which case I'll have a salad. Normally, my salad, as I said earlier, fat should be eaten only at the end of the day, concentrated fats, because it can take 15 to 16 hours to get them out of the bloodstream. So I always eat higher water content things earlier in the day, and the things that are more dense and or higher fat later in the day, and almost always, I should say. And so my salads will be in the evening, my second meal of the day, my last meal of the day, in the evening at 6 o'clock or so. And usually for me, it's 2 or 3 times a week. And that's about it. Okay. All right, let's see. Let me come back here. Okay, you've taken away some messages, so I'm not sure what you're saying here. I don't care anymore, even if the urge to rob the closest store and eat everything doesn't subside after 10 days. I need to get rid of ADHD. Yeah, you can get rid of ADHD. Fasting long enough and properly will do that, okay? Go look. We had a mother here in her 30s with her 9-year-old daughter who had ADHD, and daughter fasted, 9-year-old fasted 21 days. If she can do it, so can you. With guidance, she fasted 21 days and eliminated the problem. So can you. Okay, that's what happens. You just need to do it properly. Okay, we have Tim Trapnell is here. Trapnell, hello Tim. Thank you so much for your kind contribution. Tim's made a $4.99 contribution. Tim says, "Hi Loren, have you seen water fasting heal inguinal hernia?" Yeah, over and over again. In fact, if you haven't seen the video we shot with Don about 6 weeks ago, we shot a video with a man named Don, 78-year-old. He is still here. He's here till the end of the session. He only fasted 16 days, but he wanted a very long refeeding period because he came in super skinny. One of the issues he was dealing with was an inguinal hernia. And his hernia with 16 days wasn't very long. Actually, it wasn't even that. When I first spoke to him 2.5 or so years ago, I told him, Don, I think one of the issue for you is the presence of many pounds of old hard material. Okay, for the last 4 weeks, he's eliminating 6 or 7 bowel movements per day, most of which, he's eating 4 times a day or 3 times a day. So there's no way, there should be no more than 1 bowel movement per meal, but he's having 6 or 7 bowel movements a day, and it's often dark, hard material, painful in some cases. This is what's still happening a month later. This is a guy who's 78 years old. Okay, but yes, once that stuff is gone, only then can the hernia clear. Only once the system is cleared. It can happen. He can do it. It's, I've seen it over and over again. But in fact, I have a history of hernias. When you have a hernia, if you're prone to it, it's more likely to happen than, to someone who's had a hernia than to someone else. It's like 10 times more likely. I was born with a hernia, inguinal hernia. I had surgery on both sides when I was 5 years old. I, in my 20s, was lifting weights, felt it pop, felt the bulge, called the doctor the next day and said, I've got a hernia. And, he said, well, I'm the doctor. I'll the one that will determine that. I went to see him. Sure enough, hernia, right? Duh. He recommended surgery. I waited until after my ski trip a month later to do it. He told me it would take me 6 or 7 weeks to heal. I healed raw and fasting. I healed with fasting. I healed in 3 days. I was riding a bike 3 days later after the surgery. But so I have this history, right? It's more likely to develop these than someone who's never had this. 16 months ago, I was doing full body weight dips on a countertop, supporting my body weight with just my 2 hands. And they were getting to the point, I was doing them every day, where it was pretty easy. I was doing 20, knocking them off easily. So there was a young man in the kitchen with me who weighs about 90 pounds, little guy. And I said, hey, jump on my back. He did. It was way too much for me. I felt it pop. I'm like, crap. Now, this happened just before our food festival. I wound up eating some of my gourmet raw food that I prepared for the group for dinners. It's always fruit all the time, but there's also at night, several times a week, we prepare some other things for people who want that. We often have people that want that kind of thing. And so super chat, I'll come to that in just a minute. There's another question here I'm going to answer too on Instagram. So stay tuned. I'll be right with you. That's Amanda. Yeah, I'll be there with you in just a second. Where was I? So I wound up eating some of this stuff, and it got worse. It got painful because the stuff gets stuck in this. What happens? There's the piece of your intestine that's coming through an opening in the skeleton, in the bone, and it can get stuck in there. And I fasted, and within a few days, it was gone. I was able to clear out that drier, more gourmet food, and that was gone, raw food. It was gone, and it's never come back. I've been perfectly fine. I actually it had symptoms that got pretty intense at one point while this was happening, and was told, you need to go to the hospital right away because this is serious. That's because there was intense fever, etc. And I didn't do anything. I just fasted, and it was completely resolved within a few days. That's what's possible. We see it all the time. Okay, so Amanda has asked me here on Instagram, how can one fly there without getting tested for what? That's the law here. You don't need a test to come here. Anyone can fly here. Okay. Now, if you want to fly back to the U.S., you're going to have to get tested. Or, depending on where you live, and what you could do is you still have to get tested, but you could fly to Mexico. There are direct flights to Mexico City. You could fly from Mexico City to a border city with the U.S. if you're from the U.S. And then you could get I'm pretty sure you can do this in any of these places. You can get a saliva test and then cross that way without having them go into your blood-brain barrier, because the saliva test, I think, is okay. It's the ones that go up into your blood-brain barrier, I'd recommend avoiding if possible. Okay, that's what I would do. All right, Krasimir has back with a 10 Bulgarian contribution and said, what you mean by one avocado with your salad. The avocados are different sizes. I can find one small avocado about 100 grams and a big one, which is 300 grams. How much grams of avocados optimally eat? I can't answer that question. It depends on the type of avocado, because we have, for instance, we have an avocado tree. We have lots of avocado trees, many different varieties, but we have one that's some that are fruiting. This is the season, so we have various ones, but one of the ones is fruiting now. The avocados are pretty watery. They're not so high in fat, and so you could eat much more of that than you could something like a Hass avocado, which is one of the ones that's highest in fat. I don't know by grams. I'm sorry. You know what a typical avocado, Hass avocado is. I can actually eat up to 2 at a time, but one is best. Night before last, I had a salad. I didn't have a salad last night, but the night before I had a salad, and I put a Hass avocado in, and then one of my volunteers said, this local avocado, not a Hass, it's a Creole variety. It's a variety from Costa Rica. The Hass is, we grow Hass here, but it's a Mexican variety, and so it's a hybrid. Amazing, delicious. Probably one of the best. But he said, this avocado needs to get eaten. Do you want it? I was like, well, I can probably eat a little more. Let's see. It felt soft enough that I thought I might have to throw a bunch of it away. It was actually perfect. But together, it was a big one. Together, it was a little too much. I probably would have been better off not eating so much avocado. Fortunately, I bounced back pretty quickly, but you don't want to do that on a regular basis. So for me, usually one Hass avocado, normal size, is enough. Sometimes I'll eat more than one. Sometimes I'll eat 2. It just depends. You have to know yourself. You have to know, how you do with that type of avocado. It just depends on a lot of factors. So I'm not saying 1 is the right number. I mean, for most people, 1 is probably plenty. As you know, when we're taking someone off of a fast, we start them with small quantities, right? And then they work their way up, and they can see how they do and how their body does with different amounts. For me, what I'm able to handle might be different than what someone else is able to handle. So I'm not saying there's a specific quantity. That's like everything else. You need to know what it is. All right. Those Love Songs is here with as usual, with a very generous contribution of $50. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. And says, watching this video is the best way to start my day. Thank you, Loren. By the way, this is live, but I know what you mean. Watching this live broadcast. Thank you so much. I very much appreciate the kind comments, and I very much appreciate the generous support. I'll look forward to seeing you, I hope, every week for the rest of my life. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Okay. Alex Wartex 69 has made a €5 contribution. And says, hello, Mr. Loren. Day 23, only water, stomach ache. My teeth decay is getting much worse. Gums are bleeding. How do you know your teeth decay is getting worse? How does that change day to day? Teeth decay is, tooth decay is something that takes a long time. I'm not sure what you mean. But as you may know, Alex, I would personally never encourage anyone to be fasting without experienced guidance. So I don't know if, I'm guessing that you're fasting on your own. Day 23, fasting by yourself is probably not the smartest thing to do. Okay, most people do a lot better having experienced guidance. You really have to understand what's going on, how much water you need, what you should be doing when there are signs that you're okay and not okay. I mean, it's unlikely that you're doing this as well as possible. So honestly, my advice would be to stop the fast as soon as you can. Fast again when you can have experienced guidance. Okay, if you're not aware of this, folks, I can guide you remotely. It's much less expensive than coming here. There's a payment plan. You can pay 50% up front, roughly, and then make monthly payments on the balance. It's not so difficult for most people. And I truly believe, I know that we can create anything we choose to, which means, if it really is a bit of a burden financially, you can probably create a way to make it possible to make that happen. A lot of people have. A lot of people have gotten creative and made it happen. So I would encourage you to look into that. I think you're going to find much better. Now, gum bleeding happens when people fast as the gums are healing. Again, as far as the tooth decay, I'm not sure how you would know. Stomach ache happens sometimes. There's not enough information to know if you're okay or not, but I would never assume anyone was okay fasting without experienced guidance. You really have to understand the process and what's going on to make sure that you're okay. And so sounds like you're thinking that you're not okay, and you very well may not be. You probably should end your fast soon. Again, it might be wise to get a consultation so I can help you know how to do this properly. Although I talked about it earlier, if you weren't here in the broadcast, I did talk about this earlier. You can go back and listen to the recording. I pretty much gave our formula. But even then, it's understanding what's happening so you know how to respond. Okay, it's up to you. But I would encourage you, perhaps, to get some help because doing this alone is rarely very successful. Okay? All right. Moon Magic is here, and with a $10 contribution. Thank you so much. And says, can fasting heal mast cell activation syndrome? Also have alpha-gal. I'm reactive to avocado, mangoes, spinach, kale, walnuts, and almonds. So far, I don't eat meat. Okay, great. It's great that you don't eat meat. Not great that you're allergic to these other things. To be completely clear, fasting can't heal anything, but the body can, right? Fasting, right? So healing is a biological process. Our bodies are self-healing. Only your body can heal your body. Okay, nothing else can. Smoothies can't, superfoods can't, herbs can't heal your body. Only the body can heal the body. Okay, toxic substances like medicinal herbs don't heal anything. They just suppress symptoms, just like drugs. That's all they do. Okay, fasting simply is a process that gives your body the optimal conditions to cleanse and heal. Your body's still doing all the work. It's just able to do it much better when you're not processing food, when you're not being physically active. You should be resting as completely as possible. And when you're doing what you need to do to support your body is able to heal much more efficiently when fasting than it is doing anything else. Okay, and that's what makes fasting so powerful. It's not that fasting is healing it. Can your body heal from these things? Yeah, I believe you absolutely can. The key is to do it properly and long enough. With the issues that you're dealing with, you're definitely going to want to fast at least 21 days. I need to see a registration form to be able to make a recommendation about what would be better for you and what would be best for you. Now, generally speaking, longer is better, right? As we fast, the body has more time and ability to do what it needs to do. So while 21 days would be the minimum I'd recommend, given the issues you're dealing with, it may very well be, and I wouldn't know unless I saw your registration form with more information, but it may well be that you'd be better off fasting 30 days, 26 to 30 days. I don't know. I'd have to see more information. But yes, the body can virtually always heal. If you're alive, and I'm guessing you are, if you're here, your body can still heal. It's healing all the time. It is cleansing all the time. Okay, autophagy happening all the time. When we fast, these things are accelerated and much more efficient and effective. Okay, but they're always happening. It's just a question of how much. Hope that makes sense. Okay, Ian is in the house. That's Ian 444444, and he has made a £5 contribution and says, the cleaner I eat, the worse I feel after eating non-optimally. I don't mean bad eating, just non-organic, etc. How do you cope when you travel? Well, I hear you. It's an interesting thing. Let me see here. I think I have a line on here already. I do, but I'm going to do a simple bell curve. Everyone knows a bell curve. I wish I had a marker instead of just this pen. I'm trying to do multiple lines to make it darker, but I'm not doing a very good job of staying on the line. So, okay, there's a bell curve. Everyone can see that, I'm sure, right? So if your body is very toxic, you can eat anything and not experience it. You're not going to feel bad when you eat McDonald's because you're not going to feel different than you ever do. It's going to be the same. I mean, you may not feel great, but you're going to feel the way you normally feel. When your body is very, very clean, if you eat something, it's able to detoxify rapidly. And so while there may be some discomfort, it's very short-lived, okay? But the vast majority of people are in this area. And that means when they, not the people, the most toxic people, but anyone who's doing better than average, but isn't really, all as clean as they need to be yet. When they eat something, they're going to have some negative reaction, and it may take the body longer. It will take the body longer detoxify. So they're going to suffer more than someone whose body is super clean. But yeah, I mean, so when I travel, I do my best to get organic as much as I can. I mean, I certainly look for organic. I prefer organic. Obviously, there are some places where that's not really possible. And when that's the case, it's really useful to know what foods are least heavily sprayed. So I was surprised to see somebody that I know well, you may be here, say something about, what was his grapes? Yeah, even though I can't always find them organic, I think she said, I'll sometimes eat these grapes because I love them. Well, grapes are so heavily sprayed that, it would be far better to never eat grapes unless they're organic. So, just limit your grape intake. And now, I mean, if you're in North America, it's not a big burden. If you're in most of Europe, it's probably not a big burden. You can probably get organic grapes most of the time. Organic grapes are available most of the year. And they may be expensive, but they're available. And so if you want to eat grapes, buy the organic ones, because non-organic grapes are very heavily sprayed. Apples are the same. Peaches and nectarines are very heavy. Strawberries are among the highest. Lettuce are very, very heavily sprayed. Things that are not heavily sprayed. So if those things are the things I'll typically avoid, lettuce is one exception. Sometimes if I can't get organic lettuce, I'll still eat some lettuce. But the other things, not so much. I'll typically, I won't buy strawberries, apples, grapes if they're not organic. It's very, very, very infrequent that I've ever eaten them non-organic ever since I understood this. I'm checking my watch because I have a 10 o'clock call in 2 minutes, a group of clients fasting with me that I'll need to go get to. That's coming up in just a minute or two. The things that are very minimally sprayed, the lowest amount of spray include bananas, avocados, pineapples, mangoes, papayas, watermelons. Okay, so these are all things which happen to be my staple foods anyway, if I can get them. These are the things, these are like go-to foods, right? These are things, if you can get them, if you can't get organic, but you can get these things are much safer to eat than the other things. I mentioned bananas are on that list as well, okay? Relatively low spray, so much safer to eat those things, okay? That's what I do when I'm traveling. So let me see, I've heard non-organic papaya is safe to consume if it's not GMO. Yes, I'm sorry, did I not say papaya? Papaya is also low spray. Of course, you don't ever want to eat GMO, as you're saying here, but if it's not GMO, it's perfectly okay. I mean, always better organic, right? Always better, and not just for your own health, but anything that's not organic means it's helping to destroy the planet by putting toxic chemicals into the soil, into the water. So, always organic when possible. Here, most of you know this, we have more than 150 varieties of fruit on site. We actually have another big order placed we don't have yet. We'll have a bunch of fruit trees coming, which we'll be planting over the next month or two. And it's very exciting. By the time, by November, by the first of the year, before that, but we'll probably have 160, maybe 165 varieties in the ground here. Very exciting. All organic. Everything we grow is organic. And so that's the goal, is to be self-sufficient, which we can only do in the tropics, so that we're able to have all of our own food and know that it's high quality food. That's my goal. That's what we're doing here. Okay. Moon Magic says, thank you. I'll come see you as soon as time permits. I fasted with you years ago in Maryland with my mom. Ah, are you a yoga teacher? Because I remember, if you're a yoga teacher, I remember you very well. We fast, many people come with a parent or a child or a partner, but I remember very well a yoga teacher from New Jersey. We did a full day seminar at a yoga studio, and the yoga teacher fasted with me. Her mother chose, yes. No, it wasn't the yoga teacher. Yoga teachers fast with me a couple times, but this was someone who attended, was there at that seminar at the yoga studio. And last minute, your mother wanted to come along, if you're the same person from New Jersey. I remember you and your mother very well, and I hope you're doing well. I'd love to see you again. It would be wonderful. Give my regards to your mother if she's still around. I'm guessing she'd be pretty old by now, because that was probably 18 years ago or so, something like that. Ersatz mode, is it possible to get permanent residence visa from Mexico based on Bitcoin savings alone. I have no idea. I live in Costa Rica. I don't know anything about the laws of Mexico. In Costa Rica, if you have a pension, guaranteed income, then you can get residency. It might well be in Mexico, you might, if you have enough wealth, you might be able to get residency. It's easier to get. In Mexico, you can pretty much bribe anyone, as far as I understand it. But I don't live there and don't really know much about the laws there, so I can't tell you that. Okay, best of luck to you. Have a fantastic weekend. I'll look forward to seeing you all. Let me see if there's anybody else, anything other quick here. Do you eat fruit seeds that contain B17? Nope. B17 is toxic. They don't have healing properties. They kill tumor cells, which is good, except they kill other cells too. It's a toxin. We don't need to eat this stuff, B17, from peach pits and similar fruits. No, I don't eat fruit seeds at all. I mean, with the exception of the tiny ones that are in the fruits, there's no reason to eat fruit seeds. We spit them out. Fruit seeds are toxic to us. The whole point, the reason that those seeds contain B17 is to make the seed toxic so animals won't eat them, because the whole point of making fruit is to get the seeds into the ground. The plant definitely does not want those seeds eaten. Okay, so I apologize if I didn't get a chance to wave to you on Instagram. There's many of you here, or answer your question. That's how it is. There's no way to do this on Instagram that I know of, but if you go to YouTube, you can do a super chat, which means make a donation, and I will always answer those questions first because they are actually supporting me. Okay, I have Mom, Alice. I'm going to answer Alice's question. I'm already late, but I'm going to answer Alice's question here. There's my call now. Okay, so Alice is asking, how much time after eating raw do I have to wait before I can fast? I'd like to try fasting under your guidance from Skype, since I live in Romania. Yeah, you don't actually. I fast people all the time who don't ever eat optimally before they fast. It would be best to. I encourage everyone to spend at least 3 or 4 weeks eating optimally before fasting, but it's not strictly necessary. Okay, I mean, it would be best by far, but you could do it now. I mean, I usually encourage people to do at least 3 or 4 weeks. So what did you say you've already done? A month. Yeah, that's long enough. If you're ready, email me, Loren at tanglewoodwellnesscenter.com. I would be happy to assist you if I can. So feel free to email me. We can talk about dates and times. You can go to tanglewoodwellnesscenter.com. Look under fasting. There's a drop-down menu. Go to remote fasting. It'll give you the prices. You can register right there. You can see you can either pay in full and save, or you can make a down payment and make monthly payments, pay a little bit more that way. It's up to you. I'll be happy to guide you. I'll guarantee, if you're coachable, amazing results. Folks, it's been a pleasure being with you. If you enjoy this and think there's benefit here, how about liking it, giving it a thumbs up? That helps. Feel free to share the recording. You can share the link on your own pages. Thumbs up, anyone? Likes? Come on, help me out here. Feel free to pass this along. And I'm going to say goodbye because I'm now late for a call. So I'll see you all next week. I'll be back. I am live in Spanish tomorrow morning at the same time. If you or anyone you know speaks Spanish, I'm live on Saturdays in Spanish. Fridays is English. And I'll see you next time. Have a fantastic week. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.